The CBC Headline News, brought to you by Digicel, Barbados' fastest 4G network.
Tourists have their say on the Brexit fallout for Barbados. An e-government master plan for the island. And in sports, the Tridents, the lone winless team, as the Patriots secure their first victory in this year's CPL.
The CBC Headline News, brought to you by Digicel, Barbados' fastest 4G network.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
And a very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lord with the CBC Evening News. In our top story, as a number of officials in the local tourism industry grapple with the potential effects of Britain's recent exit from the European Union, we're finding out how it is affecting Barbados. In addition, we are looking at how Barbadians living in Britain are faring amidst the recent political and economic changes. We get more in this report.
Extremely disturbing, painful, and no joke were a number of words used by Barbados' tourism officials to describe the likely effects of Brexit on Barbados. Over the past week, the pound traded for as low as Barbados $2.60, lows not seen since the mid-90s, and has many Barbadians wondering what the effects could be on this little gem. Tourism currently contributes over 14,000 jobs annually, and almost 200,000 arrivals are from Britain. In this regard, a decline of any magnitude in the key products would have repercussions in the economy. A number of British visitors who say their budgets were impacted still feel their travel plans wouldn't be badly affected. Tourists most affected at this point seem to be vacationing students, while more affluent Brits are not too alarmed.
We can afford it, okay, but other people will need to think twice, okay, about the holidays because the cost of flights have went up, the currency has devalued.
We're already struggling for hours with our studies, so taxis, yeah, we have to walk now. We have to, or get the reggae bus.
Reggae bus?
Yeah.
What's the reggae bus?
Yeah, you know the white vans?
These are ours?
Yeah,
okay.
The number 10 and number 11.
It doesn't worry me. It wouldn't stop us visiting.
What is also evident is that the English are a very proud people and remain a bit more confident than others that their economic woes will be solved soon.
The UK is the 5th largest economy in the world. Pre-Brexit, post-Brexit, no Brexit, it'd still be the 5th largest economy in the world. So it's going to hold its own. The currency markets are going to come back. I work in financial services. The currency markets will return, the markets will return, and it's just people's confidence. And most people talk themselves into a situation where they worry about things. There's nothing to worry about.
Despite recent reports from visitors, this is just a small sample size, and it must be taken into account that many visitors currently on the island booked well before the Brexit vote. CBC also spoke to a number of Barbadians who worked in Britain and are collecting pension from the British government. They say they're already losing hundreds of Barbados dollars because of the falling exchange rates, while Barbadian students in England feel they'll benefit from the decline of the pound. It appears Barbadians are feeling and will continue to feel the effects of Brexit, whether negative or positive. But only time can tell which impact will ultimately be greater. Kareem Smith, CBC News.
Well, the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting is underway over in Guyana. High on the agenda will be discussions on that Brexit vote. The meeting comes as the European Union and the world are reacting to the results of the vote and examining the possible consequences and their effects on regional movements like CARICOM, which use the EU integration model as a point of reference. Well, our Lisa Broom is in Georgetown and joins us live. Lisa, good evening.
Good evening, Lisa. Well, as you said, the 37th regular meeting of the CARICOM Heads of Government is going on in Guyana. In fact, the opening ceremony of the conference is going on now as we speak at the Guyana Cultural Center here in Georgetown. At the podium at the moment is Dominica's Prime Minister and current chair of CARICOM, Roosevelt Skerritt. And just a quick note, the conference was scheduled to be held in Dominica, but of course, you know that country is still recovering after Tropical Storm Erica last year. And Guyana fortunately stepped in to host the conference, so that's why we're here, and we're not in Dominica. Now, all 15 heads of the full member states are present along with their delegations, and that includes ambassadors to CARICOM, foreign affairs ministers, and other technical staff. The 5 associate members are also present. Now, incidentally, Lisa, today is being celebrated as CARICOM Day, and that's marking 43 years since the Treaty of Chaguaramas was signed in Port of Spain. And with this as the background, St. Vincent's Prime Minister, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, in his time at the podium, came out strongly in defense of the regional integration movement. Now, acknowledging that it should have been further ahead and that there's a lot more work to be done, Prime Minister Gonsalves says CARICOM and its various organizations have all made significant progress and have major achievements under their belt. He said he pointed to the Caribbean Court of Justice and its interpretation of its use of the Shanique Murray case to interpret what is said in the Treaty of Chaguaramas about free movement and setting down the rules for immigration policies across the region. He highlighted that as one of the major achievements. And he also talked about the ability of businesses to set up cross-border. He says there's nothing in the Treaty of Chaguaramas that prevents businesses from doing that. Now, Prime Ministers Andrew Holness of Jamaica and Alan Chastanet of St. Lucia are both attending the heads of government meeting for the first time in those capacities. As you might remember, there were elections in both St. Lucia and Jamaica since the last meeting was held in Barbados. Now, on the issue of correspondent banking, which is one of the issues that is very high on the agenda, Mr. Chastanet says CARICOM should stop thinking that it has to go it alone in getting the U.S. and the Canadian banks to rethink their position of severing relationships with the smaller banks in the Caribbean. He's suggesting that there are enough people in those countries, citizens of those countries, who have major interests in the Caribbean, who are well-placed enough to be able to lobby their government to take another look at the whole de-risking issue. But he says that the Caribbean, CARICOM really needs to get on it, and they need to get on it now. Another major highlight of the opening is that most of the leaders, all of the leaders in fact, paid tribute to the late Patrick Manning, the former Prime Minister of Trinidad who passed away just over the weekend. He was hailed by all of the leaders as a true regionalist who always staunchly supported the integration movement. So Lisa, that in a nutshell, that has been the highlight of the opening ceremony so far. Tomorrow marks the first full day when leaders will start their meetings, start the various caucuses. They'll get updates on a number of issues, like the correspondent banking issue. Just to note that an advocacy group was formed within CARICOM, set up under Antigua's Prime Minister Gaston Brown, and he's going to give an update on that. Also, as you said earlier, the potential impact of the Brexit and a host of other issues will be discussed from tomorrow into Wednesday. Lisa?
Thank you very much, Lisa. And of course, we look forward to hearing from you over the course of the next 2 days. That's our Lisa Broom there reporting from the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting, which is underway over in Guyana. And we're hearing tonight that Jamaica will not be pulling out of CARICOM, this firm assertion from Prime Minister Andrew Holness. He says one of his first tasks when the heads get together once the meeting officially begins tomorrow is that Jamaica has no intention of leaving that 15-member grouping. Mr. Holness says what Jamaica wants to see is a strong CARICOM.
A weak Jamaica does not make a strong CARICOM. So Jamaica has to assert itself, and Jamaica has to ensure that the systems and protocols within CARICOM, that they work. So we are here to make CARICOM work. It's in Jamaica's interest for CARICOM to work. We have at home established a commission to advise the government as to what are some of the things that we can do to make CARICOM stronger and to make CARICOM more effective.
Mr. Holness has acknowledged that there are several challenges facing the region, many of which are beyond the leader's control. Well, an e-government master plan is being developed for Barbados. That plan has been contracted to Deloitte. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of the Civil Service, Alison Fort, says it is now in its final stages of development. The e-government master plan, along with a wide area network or WAN contract, which government signed with telecommunications company Digicel, will play a big role in the human resource development strategy being implemented. Mr. Fort says phase 2 of the WAN contract will cover 25 additional sites and will get going very soon.
Some of you already making use of the telephony aspect of this WAN, and we're hoping that this would continue to develop. We know that telephony has certain features that we'll probably be able to do some kind of conferencing instead of having to drive across the island to meetings, and so I can see permanent secretaries and other ministries heads, and so using this new facility to convene meetings.
Well, government is optimistic that the human resource development strategy being developed for the island will allow for the fast, easy and timely sharing of information. The strategy is now in its final year, and Minister of Labour, Social Security and Human Resource Development, Senator Dr. Esther Bayersuku, says significant progress has been made. She says it will respond to global conditions and Barbadian aspirations. Senator Bayersuku provided the update during the opening ceremony for the Certified Knowledge Manager training ongoing at the Baobab Tower.
We are truly creating an environment in which everyone can achieve their goals in just about any area. Through a number of public and private partnerships and technical assistance operations, the strategy has supported national efforts to improve our country's competitiveness and to boost economic growth through research, training, capacity building of various government and non-government organizations, and policy and program development.
Well, Senator Bayersuku says the HR strategies will also promote business efficiency and improve the effectiveness and policies of programs.
And you've heard some of the challenges we have, for example, when data is collected and it takes forever to actually include that into any policy. So you may have a policy document for 2015, and in that we're using data collected in 2012. And that really defeats the purpose. A knowledge-driven or knowledge-based society and economy is one in which knowledge generation and use plays a major part in wealth creation. It is not only about having more knowledge, but about the effective use and exploitation of different types of knowledge in all manner of economic activity.
Well, efforts are on to boost the sustainability of the Postal Service across the region. This as the Postal Service has seen a decline in business due to the popularity of online correspondence and the use of private couriers by consumers. Attorney General and Minister of Home Affairs Adriel Brathwaite says the Postal Service has to be innovative in its approach to ensure that it remains relevant.
We are going to have to be flexible. We're going to have to be innovative. We're going to have to use technology. And moreover, for the first time, we're going to have to compete in a real way with the private sector and do it better than they do.
Mr. Brathwaite was speaking at the 3rd Council of Ministers of Postal Affairs Conference, where regional ministers whose portfolios include the Postal Service are meeting to discuss its future. He says they want to provide real-time tracking of packages and highlighted challenges the region faces in managing delivery time.
One of the items that we discussed in our last ministerial conference was the whole issue of LEA and whether or not we need to sit down with them and see how we can get them pay closer attention to the delivery of posts.
Well, with LEAT being the only carrier going to almost all of the territories, Mr. Brathwaite says direct communication with the regional airline would be ideal for the Postal Service. An encouraging message to Barbadians today. It is from Jehovah's Witnesses Castries North Congregation member Pete Ninval. He says people should follow Jesus' teachings and not be easily provoked into wrongdoing. Mr. Ninval was speaking at the final day of the Jehovah's Witnesses 2016 Inter-Island Convention held under the theme Remain Loyal to Jesus. He says rather than an eye for an eye, people should learn to turn the other cheek.
What Jesus was actually saying is, listen, if someone tries to provoke you into a confrontation, don't allow them. Don't allow them to make you become like them. That's basically what he was saying, because a slap wasn't meant to injure someone physically. And so Jesus lived by the same principles that he taught.
And over 4,000 attendees from Barbados and 16 Caribbean territories were treated to multimedia presentations which were translated into St. Lucian Creole, Mandarin Chinese, Spanish, and American Sign Language.